I am a teacher. I teach teachers how to teach health and physical education. As the coronavirus took over our lives, I watched our profession grieve. The Elizabeth Kubler-Ross model identified how those experiencing grief go through a series of 5 emotions. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I watched our profession go in and out of these stages. And through that observation, overwhelming emotion brought me to my knees as I witnessed COVID change teaching history as I knew it. I had the privilege of working in a profession of passionate souls, future professionals, individuals, despite the warnings they hear from family, friends, and even social media, they have a strong desire to become part of our profession. They have the desire to be a teacher. They have the desire to live a lifestyle of a teacher, a job you carry with you 24/7, 365, a job you never really get to leave, even when you leave your campus, a job where you prep from home, a job where you grade papers on nights and weekends. This is a job where you teach motor skills like hands together, separate, point, and throw. And you teach those cues until your students know them backwards and forwards. Hands together, separate, point, and throw. A job where you teach functional life skills, identifying fake news, identifying influences, decision-making, goal setting, communication skills, self-management skills, and advocacy. A job where you teach these skills and cues, a job where you give students opportunities to practice and develop these skills and these cues. A job where you teach yourself self-efficacy, that internal belief that you can do it. We need this during COVID more than anything, but we teach it to our students as well. A job where we teach students that deep down belief that they can learn, they can do this. Self-efficacy. A job that is part of an amazing profession. Let me take you on a quick journey. The initial stage I witnessed with grief was the denial and the disbelief. Then we were angry. We went through bargaining. Although we didn't have much control here, we still had that dialogue with ourselves, with our colleagues. We went through depression. Down deep in the depths of that rabbit hole, change hit us hard. It was, and maybe still is, difficult to get out. We're clawing our way out. Finally, we pulled up our bootstraps and we began the acceptance. Grief was not quick nor easy. We suffered a great loss. So we learned new academic languages, words like synchronous, asynchronous, hybrid, high flex. We sought out trainings, spending personal time and money to better our skills. And social media groups exploded. Pick your poison. Which one do you belong to? Twitter, Facebook, Save YouTube, TikTok, Bitmoji craze. There's so many out there. Thank goodness. Ultimately, we ask ourselves, did the students learn? Did I do enough? We had challenges. I observed creative collaboration. Wow, blew my mind. And this is why we are here today. My future teachers wanted to give back. So they've created curriculum of health, physical education, and DAPE materials that they have found teachers like you shared with others. This is not a final project, but it is something we are going to keep striving to better. Our process was using a vetting tool. It's called This is a Good Activity Game. We've included that in our documents. We created this through dialogue and we have shared it with you in our files. As we know, not everything out there on the line is good. Then we made a collection of our favorite resources people like you have been sharing during COVID. We have broken it down into topics. These topics and activities are geared toward the health student, high school student, because that's the term we're working in right now. And we'll be adding elementary and middle school next term. Stress. Each collection shows links to projects. Each link is posted in the resource page of that section. And after we are finished, I will do a closing. We are all warriors, and we share these joys with you. I hope you enjoy this presentation.
And today, the topic that we have here are stress management skills. Within this Bitmoji presentation, I have connected some hyperlinks throughout. Most pictures and even myself in the Bitmoji here. You can click on, there's different activities, information, video links that I thought would be very helpful and useful using within your classroom. And I really like this format just based off of how it's easy to work with, especially with distance learning. You can attach whatever you'd like to whatever you need, and you could use it in a variety of different ways. And so I broke stress management skills down into 4 different sections: understanding the nature of stress, cognitive distortions, restructured thinking, um, understanding your stress and different disorders, and also skills to help you cope with it. And so here, as you see, we're on the first slide here of understanding the nature of stress. Like I said, a lot of these are hyperlinked up. Um, we'll go to the brain here. As you can see, this is attached to a link based on how stress affects your brain, and it's something that you can really click on. So it's really easy for students to go in and grab it, and we can start to understand what stress is. Also, on the side here, you'll see a clipboard, and on each slide there is clipboards as well. And when you click on those will bring you to different lesson plans or activities that I've found. I made it really simple and easy that way. That way, in case you wanted to go back and look and use these resources, you can. These lessons are varying from age, all the way from high school, middle school, and elementary school students. And as you can see here, there's different lesson plans, whether it be skills, techniques, attitudes, how to manage it, where does it come from, many different options that way. And another thing that I did find as far as understanding the nature of your stress are these different choice boards. These choice boards kind of give you the same kind of idea as a Bitmoji classroom, to where you click on it, you download it, and it gives the student multiple options on how they want to learn the material. It could be as simple as from reading it, and it goes based off of level too as well. You could do it that way. They're all hyperlinked, each individual box, as you can see here on my cursor. Right here, and each, when you break them down, you can click on them and they'll open up different things as well. I thought that was another great way to use it, especially when we were talking about stress and different coping skills. You could break it down very, very easily that way. As we move on here, it'd be cognitive distortions and restructured thinking. I put this in just to think of when I was going through health education and different things throughout my schooling. I noticed that we don't really talk about the disorientations or how to work on our thinking. And so when you click on this, this is just some 15 common cognitive distortions that we don't really talk about, but I know a lot of people can be affected by them. And as we go down here, like for example, here, overgeneralization, when you're just sitting, minding your own business, not around anything and just thinking, we tend to make assumptions, or many students like to jump to conclusions, as you see. And I feel like this would be a great way to start talking about how we think and what things we can do to change that. And so as we go back into the um, PowerPoint, you can click on the megaphone and it'll bring you to a video on how we can restructure our thinking. Again, here in the top left, there's a clipboard that also allows us to use it, find lesson plans. Moving on will be understanding your stress, and this would be how we talk to students based off of um, their triggers, what triggers their stress, and we can talk about different disorders as well, where we talk about anxiety, depression, and what can lead to suicide. On this slide, I also wanted to show that these plants in the middle here are all different lesson or outlets for students to use, whether it be suicide prevention. You could also use it for multiple other things like anxiety, and it gives you all these different links and outreaches for kids to understand or even learn about different disorders that they might go through, they know someone that's go through, or even just simply to um, study those. And finally, we get to the skills. Obviously, there's three different kinds of skills: reduction, coping, and a relaxation. And without a good balance of them, as you can see on the stool, if you put all three of them on here without this good balance, the cat would fall off from where he's sleeping. So in here is more activities. This one's more activity based. The other couple were more information based, but this one's more activity based. And a couple of different things that I liked within this was, here's we see this Santa Claus. One of the ways we can relieve stress is by helping and um, volunteering. And so I found this sub for Santa, and this high school, this school um, basically used it as a fundraiser. They used it how to donate money, and you could use it throughout different store locations and different things like that. But you could even use it as simple as um, going out and having your students do something nice for someone in the community, whether it could be shoveling driveways, or maybe you gave mom a day off from doing all the chores, right? You could use it in so many different varieties, and I felt like sub for Santa was a great way to do that. Also here, we have the relaxation side of things. And here we've got 5 calming mind and body exercises that we can do. And again, all variety, um, breathing, movement, mindfulness, because as we know with different students, they learn different ways, and obviously they're going to cope with stress in different ways. So you can use a lot of these. All of them are linked up. They all should be live. Again, the clipboard here in the corner as you open up goes to a workbook here of many stress management plans, and even some activities that you can use as early activities or even lesson plans as a whole.
So I've been trying to create this Bitmoji classroom that would be beneficial to myself and other health teachers looking for activities, lesson plans, and creative new ideas to use in their classrooms. So throughout my classroom are a variety of different classroom decor. Each decor you click on will send you to a link with an attached lesson plan, activity, or a PowerPoint with something relating to the topic of nutrition. Now, these topics inside nutrition range from calculating your own BMI to exploring MyPlate to figuring out important nutrients to important vitamins, talking about fast food and energy drinks, and lastly, finishing up with different eating disorders. So, if we were to mess around with this front Bitmoji classroom that I created, and let's say we click on the McDonald's poster, it's going to take you to this PowerPoint all on fast food that you could find useful. There's surveys in here, different topic ideas, fast food, making healthy choices, portion sizes, energy balance, and so on, pop quizzes. Going back inside the classroom, let's say you want to talk about vitamins. So this one, when you click on vitamins, is going to take you to this PDF by the Vancouver Canucks, which is an NHL hockey team that I think students would find very cool to use. Inside it is different topics, and it has lesson plans in here on different kinds of vitamins. So you have vitamin A, E, K, and so on. There's different activities inside this inside this PDF. Going back into the classroom, let's say you want to click on an apple this time. So you click on the first apple. The first apple is going to take you to this nutrition PowerPoint that was created by another teacher, and it's talking about balance, variety, and moderation. But also within this are just different activities like matching. You're matching your vocabulary terms with your definitions. You have knowing your nutrients. You have, my favorite one on here is talking about water and how much water we need in a day. And it's this activity where you're going to take your weight times 0.67, and that's going to equal the number of ounces you should be drinking in a day. Going back into the PowerPoint, let's say you click on the vegetables. So the vegetables is going to take you to a scavenger hunt activity, which you would be able to share with your students. So this activity, all you would have to do is share it with your students, and all the directions are inside this. And you're just able to click through every single one, and it's going to tell you exactly what to do for this activity. You go back into the presentation, you see the muscles stick out, so you're going to click on the muscles. Okay, the muscles is going to take you to the CDC, and it's going to bring you to an adult BMI calculator. So all your students would be able to calculate their own BMI to figure out, are they a healthy weight? Are they my favorite one on here is the My Plate poster, so I'm going to click on the My Plate poster, and it's going to bring me to the My Plate page, which allows you to do so many things. It gives you the different categories of fruits and vegetables, grains, dairy, proteins. A lot of kids don't know that there's more proteins than just beef and meat and chicken. There's beans and fish, and it'll bring you to all those different things, eggs, peas. You can create your own nutrition plan. You can track your own meals you've been eating. You can put in a weight you want to get to, and it's going to give you ideas on how to get there. You go back into this presentation, you go to the next slide, we're going to talk about energy drinks. So if you click on either Bitmojis, it's going to take you to a lesson on energy drinks. So we're going to click this top one. It's going to bring you to this lesson done by the University of Utah, and it just gives you all your learning objectives. It's going to give you your health standards. It's going to tell you the approximate time of each activity. So this presentation is about 60 minutes long, and then it'll just give you how to present this topic on energy drinks and different ideas, how you want to reach your kids, how you're going to interact better. It's going to talk about different dangers of energy drinks, how caffeine affects the body, and so on. You go back into the presentation, and we go to the third slide, and the third slide is going to talk strictly on eating disorders. So let's say we click on the first one with the upset stomach. We click on him, and he's going to take you to this awesome PDF on body image and eating disorders. It's going to give you 17 different activities you can use in the classroom, and it's going to give you lesson plans and web links and alternate available resources. And all of these topics inside this PowerPoint are useful for you if you're a new teacher, if you're a teacher running late on time and need to find something fast.
These Bitmoji PowerPoints are an excellent way to organize your unit plans in this time of online learning. My unit plan that I will be showing you today will cover the benefits of a drug-free lifestyle. The way that I organized my unit plan is by first covering all of the major substances of abuse, and then later getting into the media influence that can affect young people, substance abuse education, and how substance abuse can affect families. So my first slide here is all about alcohol. As you can see, I have my classroom with myself at the front, and I have all of these pictures around the classroom. And each of these pictures is directly linked to different materials that you can use for your unit plans or for your lesson plans. For instance, you could link your lectures, supplemental readings, some different activities, or videos, etc. The sky is really the limit on this platform. You can get very creative with it. So I'll just test out a couple of them to demonstrate for you. So for alcohol here, I click on this glass and it will bring me directly to a PowerPoint here all about alcohol. So here you have your basic lesson PowerPoint covering the material on this slide. And I also added this. I'll click on one more just to demonstrate. I added this blood alcohol calculator on here to allow students to explore with this and really get to learn how much alcohol is really in these beverages. I know that this was one of the ways that I learned when I was in high school, and this really stuck with me using this activity. So that is why I included that. Moving on here, the next slide is all about tobacco, so this would be your tobacco lesson. So again, I'll just demonstrate here. I'll click on the lungs right here, and this will bring us to a video now. We'll explain to the student how smoking will affect your lungs and your esophagus and other body parts, how it can cause cancer. E-cigarettes, now this is one of the most abused substances right now among high schoolers. And here, each of these pictures in this art gallery, again, are linked to different materials. I will click on this image, and this will bring me to a Stanford University site. And as you can see here, this is almost a full unit within a unit itself. So a lot of good information on electronic cigarettes here. As you can see, there are many PowerPoints here that students can explore, or that you could explore and have them all linked separately into your unit plan and onto your lesson slide. But I felt like this is really one of the biggest areas that needs to be hit at this time, as again, electronic cigarettes are one of the most popular drugs being used among adolescents. So next we have marijuana, and again, there's another excellent, some more material that I found here. This happens to be, again, from Stanford. And we'll move on here to date rape drugs. And what I found when I was exploring different materials online for this is that a lot of college campuses have a lot of good information on their websites. So this one, I believe, is from Virginia State University. And some of the best information that I found is just on the university pages on their on a health page or a campus safety page. So here this talks all about roofies on this page, and there's another good one that I found on GHB, Georgia Homeboy. Here, this happens to be again from Stanford. But as you can see, this page, and then moving on, we have our party drugs here, some club drugs. Ecstasy down here is one of the most popular drugs currently in the United States, especially among college students at parties. So again, here's I believe this one links to another video on LSD, but all of these pictures will link to specific pages about the drug in question. And finally, we have all of the other drugs on my final slide here. A couple of fun interactive slides here. I'll click on this question mark. This is a drug identification slide. So this can be a fun way to quiz your students or have them quiz themselves on many different drugs, all of the drugs we have covered thus far, and see if they can identify them based on pictures or their description. And then another just fun one I added, a guitar over here. It is a link going to the History Channel explaining what the 27 Club is. I think this is just kind of a fun read for students to see how drugs have cut the lives short of so many talented people. And we'll get back into the slides here. So this slide is all about media influence. So as we can see on this page right here, social media has played a big role in introducing students or children to these drugs. That's why I included that on that slide. And then finally, on my last slide here, I have substance abuse prevention education. So the biggest point here on this slide, I have this PowerPoint here that I linked for substance abuse and disorders in families. I feel like this is also one of the biggest issues right now in families living with an abusive parent, and how that can severely affect negatively the children in that family. So I feel like this is certainly one of the areas that I would hit the hardest in my classroom.
I'll go over a little bit how I created it quick. So I just would Google like an animated background to start with. So I used animated classroom background, found the one I liked, and then I would find different images with transparent backgrounds, so it doesn't have the white background like this kind of picture does. Takes a little while to search, but makes it look nice. So you can have this little link with the bookshelf, and then I also have my Bitmoji character, which you can link to your taskbar up here, and you can just click on it and drag and drop any character you want into your slides. And so I also linked each of the slides to a picture here that you can click on. So if you want to go straight to the contraceptive slides, you can just click on that when it's in present mode, or you can go to teen pregnancy and just click on that, and then also it has a home button so you can easily navigate all the slides. So go back to beginning here. So the one other Bitmoji classroom that I found that had to do with sexual education was this sexual health chat room. And so you can click on that. It'll bring it to this person's Bitmoji classroom that they have made with their own links. And you can click on the various topics. So you can click on how to prevent STDs. They'll bring you to the CDC website. And then you can use that for your classroom, use it for resources. And this was the only Bitmoji classroom that I could find for sexual health. And so maybe other people can start making their own and start building resources so other teachers can use them. And so that's what this is for. So I will make this shareable so other people can find this and use it in their own classroom. And so how I laid it out, on my chalkboard I have the topic of the day, which would be media and sexual content for the first one. And then over here I have my daily activities. First one with the video symbol here is a video that you can click on. It'll take you to amaze.org, and that has a video for students to watch. And so you could use this to have your students watch for the distance learning, have them watch it at home, do a worksheet on it, take notes on it, or whatever. Also has some information for parents and educators. And then also for the daily activities, each of the slides will have a lesson plan link to it that I have found. And so this has lecture material and then also student handouts that you could use in your classroom, or have students use this for distance learning and then have them email it back to you or turn it in on whatever platform you use. Then also here on my chalkboard I have another link to Shape America. It's a blog about sexual education. Here's my puberty slide. I have a symbol for males and females. And this brings you to amaze.org. Has a video for each boys and girls about puberty. And then up here, study.com has a video. Also has a quiz that students can practice taking a test or quiz about the topic of the day, help them study for an exam or test. And go to the contraceptive slides. So I have a CDC link here and a study.com link on this one. And then again I got my video of the day and the lesson plan. And so you can pull materials from this, different worksheets, information, all good stuff that teachers could use in their classroom. Teen pregnancy, another amaze.org CDC link, and then again the videos. And here's the relationships one. And you got your daily activities on the side. And yeah, so if you wanted to create your own, you could pretty much do it however you wanted. Make your classroom look however you want. And add cool links and different ways for students to interact. You're really limited by your own imagination, so that is all for my presentation. Thank you.
So we can get started with these slides, throughout these slides. So this one's just on preventing violence. Ask these 4 questions to the class. Talking about what is violence, how it affects the society, talking about different riots. So I think this is like a good thing to catch up on the whole violence thing, the risk factors, media, and it just goes on from there. So moving on, we got another one here, and give it a couple seconds to load. So we got another PowerPoint here. This is just on school safety. Talks about the tragedy in Parkland. Talks about gun violence. Gives you, you know, the year average on people getting shot every year compared to teens and kids getting shot at every year. They have different things so you can talk to with your partners. I think that's pretty cool. Little animation thing. Gun ownership, how to make it better, brainstorm with your classmates. There's just different tasks that you can go through as a class. Just using these PowerPoints or having, maybe if you're in a Zoom call or a Skype, having students break off and talking to each other about these different topics. So we got another one over here on shooting. We'll move on. I got a lot of these from I share my lesson, so it's pretty cool. Find most of them on there. So here's just a PDF file, finding the word, but this is just on bullying. So as I said, violence and safety, violence can come from bullying to cyberbullying. So here it talks about what is bullying. You just go through the topics. Cyberbullying, like I talked about. And then just asking for help. I think that's a big issue when it comes to bullying. A lot of kids are scared of what will happen to them if they ask for help, and what will happen to the other person if they do ask for help. So on to another one here. we got another PowerPoint. So this is the bus climate. A lot of kids are taking the bus to school. I know when I was a kid, I was fortunate to have my dad drop me off and pick me up every day, but eventually kids do ride the bus. Either it's to or from school, to or from a field trip, or to and from a sporting event or extracurricular activity. So this just talks about like proper etiquette of the bus, like what you want people to know about you, the bullying, how to be safe around it, and all that. How the buses can relate to the school, how some people can be one person on the bus and someone when they're not on the bus. And so that one just talks about that. As we move on, we got another slide here. Brings up another PowerPoint. This one's on sexual bullying. I thought this one was pretty interesting. Who experiences it, different things between girls and boys, respect, relationships, and choice. Here's a little video. Sexting, I think that's a big thing, especially with technology these days. Kids are all back and forth with all the sexting.
And as we move on, I'm going to be presenting my Bitmoji classroom. My chapter was on dealing with crises and critical issues. So we're going to go ahead and start off with that. As we start the slideshow, we can move over, we'll hit present up top like we did, and then if you move your cursor around, you can see that some of these items have hyperlinks attached to them. Stages of Grief, for example, takes you to a video link, and this is actually a great source. It's Safe YouTube. If you talk to Dr. Knutson, it allows you to take any YouTube link and get rid of the advertisements and put it into a school-safe environment. As we go through this, some of my PowerPoint slides will have similar objects on them, a TV or a computer or some kind of a projector. Each of these are linked to a video or a PowerPoint that was previously put together explaining the PowerPoint. As you can see, there's some things hidden. This little picture of death takes you to some CDC fact sheets about mortality rates in the United States. We're going to talk about short and long-term responses, and the link that I'm going to focus on here is this FEMA link. This was actually a certification that I had to go through in my job as an athletic trainer, and this was a great course talking about mass casualty training, and that is something that is open to anyone, and it's something that I would really recommend. It was very eye-opening. Coming from my background in the medical field, going through a mass casualty training was very different, and I would advocate you guys look into this. It's great. And again, we've got, I made a bookshelf, the TV, the projector is there. On this one, I'm a link. So we're going to move on again. The next major section in my chapter was suicide. So I kind of chose more of a clinic background on this one. Hopefully, thinking about a therapy or a counselor. And on this link, it takes you to a folder in Google Drive. These are just some lesson plan ideas. And then one that we're going to focus on is the warning signs. So this is where you would create warning signs out of paper that resemble road signs. And you have students identify various warning signs of suicide and write a warning on each sign, and then you display these signs on the classroom wall. And this is going to make suicide less of a taboo topic and something that's maybe easier to talk about and might pull a student into talking or opening up. So in this folder, I've attached some road signs that I shamelessly plucked from Google Images and have submitted along with this project. This page is dedicated to a general idea of tragedy and death. these topics can be very difficult to talk about in a traditional classroom setting under a more controlled lesson plan. Is going to be the way that you want to open up with this. You don't want to be caught off guard and have some kind of a tragedy affect your students or affect the entire school without some kind of background in helping to deal with these coping skills. So if we click that link, it takes us to a TED Talk that I thought was incredibly appropriate. This gentleman was hit by a car or by an 18-wheeler, and it talks about his recovery from that. So it's important to keep in mind that tragedy isn't just death. Tragedy can come in all forms. And the final slide I have is on self-harm, and again, I chose a hospital background for this. Not trying to make light of this in any way, but I want to show the importance of some of the repercussions that can happen because of this. But when you click on this, it takes you to a CDC PowerPoint that I thought was very informative, had some great information on it, and I just wanted to make sure that that got shared with you.
My Bitmoji is more of a presentation for professional development. I'm going to just kind of discuss what I would like to see in my future DAPE class. My name is Christian Kilwine. I am a senior at Minnesota State University Moorhead. I'm pursuing a degree in physical education, and I'm also getting my DAPE certificate. I love to stay fit, be active, and I also really love to travel. Topics that I'll be covering today: warm-ups, unit plans, Friday fun days, and virtual lessons. So let's start with warm-ups. So for my DAPE certificate, I need to get 160 practicum hours. The bulk of those hours have been with Mrs. K at Horizon Middle School in Moorhead. I love the way she organizes her classroom. It's very similar to what I want to do in the future. What she does is she starts with some type of cardio for warm-up, usually just running. I'd like to include more locomotor skills such as hopping, jumping, skipping, galloping, all of those I'd like to incorporate. She then does jumping jacks, sit-ups, and wall push-ups. All three of those I love. Those are definitely things that I will also like to incorporate in my classroom. But what I really like is that it's routine-based. The kids respond to that so well. They get there, they know exactly what's expected of them, and they just get it done. The classes are usually pretty short, so to have that warm-up for kids to know what they're doing and be able to just finish it without very much instruction is just very, very essential. Moving on to weekly unit plans. So another thing that I think she does is really cool is she'll just do a sport like all week, such as football, just like they would do in a general PE class. They'll do football unit all week, and she'll start with that instruction, those tasks, and then lead up to maybe playing some type of game or doing a competitive activity. So for me, I'd love to do like a Monday through Thursday. Say I'm doing football. Day one, I'm really focusing on those cues, 2 to 4 cues. Keep it short, keep it simple. Step, throw, right? Fingers on laces, step, throw. And then by Wednesday, hopefully, Thursday at the latest, we're doing some type of activities. Say holding up hula hoops and trying to throw the football through the hula hoops. Could be a possible activity. And then by Friday, it's really important, in my opinion, to do something like a Friday fun day. So let's bring out, that parachute, like we did a lot in elementary school. Kids I've worked with Mrs. K, like they respond super well to that parachute, like shaking that parachute, going underneath, having a lot of fun with that, or, some type of really interactive yoga. And down here, I have this link that will take us to an awesome yoga packet, which I'll show you at the end of this. or maybe just a random game, just an awesome Bitmoji that I found, red light, green light, just a simple game. I think that would be really, really cool. And then moving on to virtual classes. So virtual classes are kind of just something we have to start getting used to, right? Doesn't look like they're going away anytime soon, and even if they do, they could come back any day. So it's something we just need to be prepared for. In my opinion, I don't think I can just sit here and do like a virtual class like this, right? Just like talking to my students, hey, all right, do this many jumping jacks, this many wall push-ups, whatever it is. I want to get up on my feet, be interactive with my students, engage them, get them excited, demonstrate these things, do these things with them. This might be the only time they move all day. It's not like they're in school where they're, going back and forth from places. Like they might just be sitting on the couch or playing video games or doing whatever all day long. This 15, 30-minute virtual lesson might be their only movement of the day. And for you to have that opportunity to work on that with them is just honestly such a privilege and something we need to take super serious. My last slide, just questions or advice. Please don't be afraid to reach out. There's my email, shoot me an email. Any questions about anything, my experiences, some of these, things that these links that I'm offering you, or advice, anything that you can think of that might help me in my journey. Please let me know. I would love to hear from you. So I'm just going to show you quick, Mrs. K, my cooperating teacher, and we made this GIF warm-up thing. And this could be used for a workout too, because this could easily be a workout rather than just a warm-up. But we see here, we're doing high knees. And then Mrs. K is in the chair showing modifications for students in wheelchairs, and she's doing arm raises. And then, we have the push-ups, and we have planks, and so on. Really kind of a really cool thing. And then this is that yoga packet that I wanted to share with you. It's 385 pages long, as you can see at the top there. So just tons of content, information to just help you get started and get kids interacting with that on something like a Friday Fun Day, if that's what you would decide to do.
We all heard the saying, those who can't do, teach. Those who can't teach Jim. Oh. To anyone who has ever believed that, to anyone who has ever thought that, to anyone who has ever said that, I remind you of the great words from the poet Taylor Mali. I've tweaked this a little bit for our profession. I ask you, what do you make? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could have. I make scoring a basket feel like receiving the gold medal Olympics. I make children move, and I teach them why it is important. I make kids wonder. I make them question. I make them analyze. I make them practice. I make them communicate. I make them set goals. I make them decide. I make them coach each other up. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them have respect and take responsibility for their actions. I make them try and try harder. I make them practice their spelling and their math. I make them read. I make my students from other countries learn everything they need to know in English while they are preserving their unique cultural identity. I make my classroom a place where all my students feel safe. Finally, I make them understand that if they use their gifts they were given, hard work, and follow their hearts, they too can succeed in life. I make a difference. What do you make? To those teachers who are trying their best to teach from home, to those teachers who have chosen this as their profession, we respect you. To those who teach, we thank you.